Hello everyone, good morning. Welcome to the first interregional policy learning workshop organized in the framework of the USHAFE project coordinated by Biscaya Council. USHAFE, let me remind you, is focusing on smart heritage-friendly environment, and it's a privilege to host you today. So we will start the meeting by explaining that you are welcome to write your questions into the questions box, and John and I will take the questions after each session. And all materials will be made available on the USHAFE website and on the social channels of the project. So let me introduce myself and John Farrell. First of all, John Farrell is one of the partners of the executive board of the Reference Site Collaborative Networks. He's a long-time expert in public health. I am the head of the unit for health innovation in Campania region, and I share the activities of the Reference Site Collaborative Network with John Farrell, and we represent Campania region in this project. So I will kindly ask the organizing support to start with the first welcoming video that will be provided by Monica Staibano on behalf of Campania region Unitary Planning Office. Monica Staibano is an expert in social sciences and has always been working in the field of research, innovation, and social sciences. So I would like to ask to start the video with the Monica Staibano message. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I am Monica Staibano, and I work at the cabinet of the president of the Campania region as manager for the coordination of unitary programming processes. I support the deputy head of unit for unitary planning, Maria Grazia Facciature, focusing on the domains of health and environment. Mrs. Facciature apologizes for not being able to join this meeting, but would like to express her appreciation for the USHAFE project, wishing us a successful meeting. I would like to start from two considerations. First, the increase in the aging index in Campania that went from 77 to 129 between 22 and 2019. Second, what we learned from the COVID-19 emergency that in Italy decimated the elderly population and highlighted how important telemedicine and telemonitoring are to set up adequate responses. The latter has indeed to take into account the weaknesses and inadequacies of our sort of health system for the elderly, the disabled and the citizens who are hard to reach territorially, as well as the need to ensure protection and safety of health workers and of all those providing essential services. In this perspective, the USHAFE project can contribute to the improvement of service integration for citizens, also in response to health emergencies. Many of the solutions outlined for the elderly or generally frail population highlighted by the project and already being tested in Campania in some internal areas can be considered a prototype to be scaled up also in the most densely inhabited areas, where the impact of the aging population on service provision in terms of community services is greater. The strong idea for the future, in the light of what has been happening so far, is to building on innovation, innovative, integrated, and health system developed around the citizen. Strengthening home care, taking into account the role of family caregivers, older adults at home were the ones surviving the most. Supporting and developing the model of co-housing for older adults, resorting to nurturing homes at last, as during the pandemic where these were the phases of explosion of the infection. Developing telemedicine, defining accessibility, methodology of use, quality, and ensuring human touch. Strengthening health promotion through the identification of risks data based on big data, and through self-monitoring by empowered citizens. Developing apps to facilitate citizen tracking when needed, solving the clash between privacy and safety. In the 2014-2020 unitary planning cycle, Campania region has particularly invested in the health domain, both in research and in the digitalization of services to citizens, including those for health. Our goal is to strengthen our engagement in international networks, to develop skills and good practice, to disseminate awareness about the evolution of health intervention models closer to the citizen and using new technologies. Furthermore, our region will continue to invest in research, focusing also on neurodegenerative diseases that particularly affect the elderly population, starting from costs foreseen in the immediate future and grounded on the proximus resources. I wish you a good and fruitful work, opening for a next face-to-face meeting to be hosted in Campania. Bye.
So, thank you to Monica Staibano. I don't know if she will be able to follow our meeting from the registration. So we can introduce now the first session that is focusing on showcasing the results produced by USHAFE consortium so far. And we have the privilege to have Asier Alutika Kapanaga, who is the Director General for the promotion of personal autonomy of Vizcaya. Please, Mr. Kapanaga, floor is yours.
And with Nerea Bellarrain, who's a team member. And now, if I can, I will share with you our slides, our presentation. Yes. Direct questions. No, that's okay. So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for the start. As I said before, I am with José Miguel Corres, who is the project leader, and with Nerea Bellarrain, who's a team member. When I was asked to give an overview of USAFE for this presentation, I considered it's essential to look back at the journey made so far. From that analysis, the first word that came to my mind was unimaginable. The path of this project is unimaginable. The conditions in which we are finding ourselves are unimaginable. And above all, the effects and the situation in which the collective object of our project finds itself are unimaginable as well. Because analysis aside, we are in the most unimaginable by bad situation for the elderly. If we look for smart environments, for active aging, we find ourselves with a pandemic, a COVID-19, which is dramatically affecting our society, our formulas for coexistence, and our health systems, and which in Europe has been especially virulent on the elderly and continues to do so worldwide. My most sincere hope to all the people who are suffering the consequences of the pandemic. For this reason, we would like to remind you of our homage and our commitment to the good work we do at USAFE for our elderly, contributing to the construction and improvement of an intelligent environment that is a palliative for situations of lack of protection and weakness now life. Assuming the unpredictable, unimaginable, since 23rd of September in 2019, when we officially started in Aarhus, many things have happened, many experiences and many lines of learning. We gathered 7 regions with their respective experiences, idiosyncrasies, ways of doing, some experience in working with Interreg or other European programs, and others in their first experiences. Research organizations, user organizations, administrations, academia. Together, we are learning to know each other, to understand each other, and to work together. We have learned a lot, and we still have a lot to do. We still have a lot to do in a new, different context. We have identified 31 good practices in which to see ourselves, compare ourselves, and draw conclusions and applications for the future. Today, we will see the 7 of the housing domain. If our project is based on the interaction with our stakeholders, after identifying and classifying them, considering a face-to-face management, face-to-face, the current situation experienced in some of our region forces us to combine it with the online model we are now using. This is one of the evolutionary characteristics that we will have to assume. In fact, the survey on good practices is already being carried out in a mixed form. Those who have been able to do it in person, as originally planned, and those for whom this option is not feasible at all. We are in a phase of permanent adaptation, in the face of unimaginable circumstances in the conception of the project. However, we have been covering stages. We are about to complete our second semester of activity. I would say that we have met most of the experience of the objectives set. The quantification of those objectives is our guarantee. We have not missed any of the objectives of the application form that we have here for your approval. On the other hand, we have to be conscious that we still have to report in a more homogeneous way and publicize what we do. We have to improve as a whole in the aspects of reporting. Mainly deadlines, the second semester should be easier. Because we are in unknown territory, or we hope so, and also in homogenizing our reporting. We must also improve in selling what we do. This aspect, in particular, on which our colleagues in the Alliance have made a magnificent design of the communication structure is not supported by our information, monitoring and feeding of the above mentioned structures. From the Interreg, emphasis that has been placed on this aspect, the so-called third leg of reporting, as important as the financial part and the reporting and quantification of activities. I have no doubt we will do it properly. I am sure that with working days like today and with the daily work, we will continue to promote the project and reinforce those aspects in which we have a greater margin for improvement. As I said before, I have no doubt we will achieve the goal. I finish my intervention by thanking again all the participants, also those people who are interested in the work we are doing and have connected as listeners, and especially our colleagues from Campania, who, in spite of all the difficulties, have been able to organize this session. We could have known their land and their models in situ, but I have no doubt that the future will provide us with that opportunity. Grazie tante Campania, eskerrik asko. Thank you very much.
Grazie molte, Asier. Thank you so much. So I would like John to introduce the next speaker if you wish, please.
Thank you very much, Madalena, and good morning, everyone. Our next presentation is going to be from Amaya Mendez Sorella. Amaya graduated in telecommunications engineering from the University of Duisburg in 2001, and her focus has mainly been on biomedical engineering, specifically on the processing of medical images. And it's in this area which she has defended her doctoral thesis in 2012 entitled New Algorithm for the Telediagnosis of Focal Pathologies, which was directed by Begoña García Sapirán. Her research interests are focused on the processing of biomedical signals and the development of new technology projects at the service of society. She's worked on numerous research projects and has publications on her results. She has been participating in the EIP AHA from 2014 and has published more than 50 papers in international journals and participated in more than 50 projects related to health and well-being. Amaya, we look forward to receiving your presentation.
Good morning to everyone. Thank you, John, for introducing me. And I'm going to start my presentation. Today, we are going to present the preliminary results of the aggregated report on the good practice on the domain 1, that is a built environment housing. The agenda is to remember the challenges in this domain, describe the best practices, and show you to all of you the initial results. And the main challenges in this area is that usually the housing is not adapted to older people or people with disabilities. Also, elderly people suffer lack of support for personal housing adaptation. In our daily life, we saw lack of roads and public access adapted to people with reduced mobility. Also, public transport is not adapted. A slow pace of housing provision puts pressure on accommodation of all sorts, and we suffer lack of regulation on new builds in terms of lifetime adaptability standards. with this, 7 practices are best practices are identified. In this slide, you only see 6 because we are waiting for the initial results of the 7th one that is from Campania region. We have in this table the 6 best practice with these initial results from the questionnaire from 6 different regions provide from and different organizations. The first one is Autonomous Home in Pinhal from Portugal. And in this case, they create a senior village built to host still active and autonomous seniors who have no family, support them, and refuse to be institutionalized. And with this, they can use all the services they need, and they have neighbors with similar situations. The challenges in this first case is that they suffer lack of incorporation by the Social Affairs Ministry of such practices in national legislation, and this make this activity not legal as a social service. Then, because of that, they don't receive any funding, and they don't have the possibility to scale up this practice. The second one is the housing team measure, changing in own home. The objectives is to provide grants for home improvements that increase the independence of elderly and decrease the need of additional support. And the challenges of these good practices is that initially some correct decisions by the team were overruled by politicians, and the centralization of the service resulted in some initial organizational problems. The third one is BWIQ from Hamburg. And in this case, the good practice is related to technology and about the acceptance of AAL technologies by elderly. They try to equip the flat with innovative AAL technologies, and they test with more than 100 people in that flat between one night and 1 month. The challenges are that it's difficult to find people who like to stay for a longer period of time in the flat. The acceptance of the technology varies significantly due to the previous technical literacy of the elders, and some services like delivery of laundry needed to be installed just for the project. From Ireland, they provide us this good practice, A4 sustainable energy community, and the objective is to develop energy efficient housing in the town of Dunlee, and they try to put actions to reduce the domestic use of energy. Trying to promote the renewable energy and becoming leaders by educating other communities on how to do the same. The challenges are that they have to build the trust of homeowners that what they wanted to would be delivered, managing the coordination of possibly 5 teams, installing in different solutions. Timelines for work in people's home is tied to the slow approvals. The collaboration, they want to collaborate with the Sustainable Energy Authority of Ireland, partnerships with different bodies. Also, it's quite difficult to manage the 23 pieces of paperwork required for retrofitting each home, and the critical thing is that people need to be educated on what behavioral changes they can take in their daily use of energy. A5 is a household community in Davka from Slovenia, and the objective is to a small community, to create a small community with where older adults are living together. This small community is a small community is located in a very remote village, and they prepare the meal and eat together every day, trying to socialize during those tasks. And they have assistance 24 hours a day. The challenges are that it's quite difficult, the selection process of a new member, because people are in many cases explaining half-truths and misinformation of their expectations, habits. Also, it's quite difficult because the society as a whole is not promoting community life, because they perceive this situation like very unique. And the last one is Gisatek from Vizcaya. And the objectives is orientation, social integration and promotion of the autonomy of elderly people or people with disability or staying in situation of dependency. Trying to mitigate those situations applying diverse technological products and methods. The challenges are support the permanence of people in situation of disability or dependence in their environment, to prevent dependence and promote personal autonomy, and improve the quality of life of people activities, and support caregivers. Now I'm going to show you some partial and initial analysis and initial results, because the final result with details of its practice will be included in final report. This is the initial analysis collecting some answers from some of you, and we try to include an aggregate analysis with these 6 questions. In this case, the first one is how relevant do you consider the objective of the good practice in the region? That is in general for those 6 good practice, and in general the answers consider that the good practice is quite relevant. You can see here that is 71% of the answers. And the second one is how relevant are the results achieved by the good practice for your region? And also in this case, the result is almost the same in percentage. They consider that the results are relevant. If the answer is how important is the social impact of the results of the good practice in your region, in this case, the answers about the social impact is that they are very, very important. And if we ask about how applicable are the results to people with functional diversity in your region, in this case, the result is quite different, because people think that 57% of the people thinks that the results are little applicable in the region. And if the question is how applicable are the results to people with social disadvantage in your region, the result is the same than in the previous question. These are the previous results, the preliminary ones. As I said before, these results are very, very preliminary, and we hope to receive more answers from this SEC good practice, and also including the good practice number 7 that is from Campania region, and we elaborate the result with the report with the final result with all the received answers. Thank you. And
thank you so much. So, John, if you would like to introduce Ezio and Stefano.
Okay, before I do that, can I just remind those that are listening in on the presentation this morning, please use the chat box facility if you want to ask any questions of the presenters at the end of each session. We have had none for the first two, Osier and Amanya, but maybe there's still maybe an opportunity later towards the end that if you have any questions to Osier and Amaya as well. What we want to do now is to move to the next session, which is very much, it's going to be an interactive presentations on a number of selected good practices in the Campania region. And first up, we're going to have a presentation on La Fenice, the co-housing Let's Stay Together project. And it's going to be given by Ezio Palizzi and Stefano Gemara. Ezio has a background in economics and has had a long interest in innovation. And he's very much been the driving force behind the La Fenice model, which is looking to bring together the non-profit sector with startup companies and also with the municipality in providing a model for co-housing. Stefano is the president of the La Fenice Cooperative Society, and the aims is countering any form of denial of rights against the elderly, offering services ranging from residential reception, training and information courses. He's the creator of the project, Faccio Mote Campania. It's committed to carrying out projects of cohabitation of the elderly, where older people decide to live together. I'm going to hand it over to Ezio and Stefano. I'm not too sure who's going to lead off which part of the presentation, but over to yourselves. You'll see my picture coming up on the screen whenever you have 3 minutes to go.
Hello to everyone. Thank you for making us join this webinar, and we will present you our experience called the Let's Stay Together. Let's Stay Together, in Italian, Facciamoci compagnia. It's a kind of philosophy about the next way to live during the third age. Let's Stay Together, it's I can say a network of co-housing started in Acerra. Acerra is a little town in the district of Naples, and it's a place where, sincerely, no one could imagine that something like this could start, because you know, it's in the country, so mentality of people is not so open as you can imagine. But we decide to start this business. Stefano is the founder of Let's Stay Together, and we had as such kind of success. So let's show you the framework about our organization, our service. It's user-centric because we really believe in a familiar approach. Let's Stay Together is a group apartment, which means that we create a familiar behavior, and so people can, for example, can imagine that their grandfathers, their parents, can live in a place that is no a retirement house, where in Italy we sometimes we used to say we put our grandfathers, our parents to live in this retirement house, while in Facciamoci Compagnia, Let's Stay Together, they just change their kind of life, continuing to live, and they are not stopping their activities. They are not going to say no, for example, to the sport. And after in the video we created, you are going to see how our guests used to live. So it's cohabitation is organized in small groups. Small group means from 4 to the maximum of 7 people for each apartment. It's a life course approach because our organization manage several kind of residential activities. We the group apartment is, you know, the final part of a life course approach. We have residential for young, and they live together. We have residential, for example, for women that have problems with their family, their husbands, and the group apartment for the third age is the final part of this life project course. Innovation driver course with Sanità Senza Problemi. We create a platform, ICT platform. It's, I can say, a web application. At the end, it's just a web application that helps us to manage these group apartments, and helps the co-housing manager. Okay, the housing manager and the staff of the group apartments to manage all the activities. For example, the visitor's diary, the pharmaceutical, you know, the diary, stuff like that. And blind investments, no profit startup. For us, investing in a residential structure for cohabitation, it's a kind of innovation. I repeat, in our zone mentality was not so open to imagine that someone could leave our home to go to live with someone else, and this happened in Acerra, and for us it's a kind of miracle. And now we have lots of requests to come to live in group apartments, and we're going to open other 2 groups apartments in Caserta, which is another you know, zone of region Campania. Here we are. So we create a value chain about the activities that we do for to manage our group apartments. Primary activities is the house management. You know, we have to help our guests to meet their normal activity during the day, and the co-housers health management. We have a health approach to the living, because one of the focus is obviously is to prevent damage for their person. Support activities are human resource management. Obviously, each group apartments creates some can I say, creates jobs for people. Free time management, because, for example, in 2-3 days they're going to leave, they're going to the seaside, and so we make activities. They go to sea, they go to the mountain, and this continue to live in this way. Our value chain profit obviously is the well-being of our guests. So for first we think about their well-being. Practically the U-shaped domains are answered in our activities in this way. For the housing, we organize this group apartments of 7 people to create a familiar environment. This group will be able to support everyday life costs. Obviously, most of our guests had some problem to live by themselves, because they just get the minimum salary from its state, for example, 500 years, that are 500 years are not enough to support the everyday life. You can buy just to eat, or you can get money to the owner of the house. You can pay the rent for your house, but you can't do both of the things with the minimal retirement payment from the state. With social participation, our guests are involved in social activities with other groups of people. You come back to the life course approach. We create groups from teenagers, meet by teenagers, and older people, and there is, like, you know, a melting pot of energies. The younger give more energy to the older people. Our grandfathers give, you know, the energy to our boys, girls, our young guests. Communication information, I'd say that we really trust in the development of web service to support the everyday life for these people, and they remain in contact, because the truth is that we have some guests who has lots of girlfriends all around the world, and so they use Skype, they read the online newspaper, and health and community service in our group apartment. We make continuously check up. For example, every 3 months they have a complete cardiological cardiologist screening. Every week we have, every month, the nurse who goes to make them some checkups. The practice shortly is so done. Co-housing project improve the quality of older people, promoting being together to reduce cost, mitigate loneliness. Everything in our project started from a World Health Organization report that showed how in the 2050 the first cause of death will be the depression for loneliness. These things made us very afraid, because you know, to die for loneliness, for depression, for loneliness, maybe it's the most horrible thing that can happen to a person, because we are social animals. And so we decided to start Let's Stay Together. They are structured, as I said, that up to 7 members, and our first group apartment is located in Acerra, and after you will see in the video the mayor of Acerra showing how our projects create some social benefits. Is a residential service that can work with private fare, and can be supported by social policy of our city. The objective of the ZP, Let's Stay Together, is a part of our policy of Campania region to promote that. I have to be sincere, Campania showed how a great sensibility to this kind of a problem. Not in all Italy we have the same sensibility, because we study all the regulation, all the region in Italy, and the region Campania is one of the most sensible to this kind of a problems of situation, because the aging cannot be a problem, must be a situation to manage, to create the biggest social benefit it can. Campania region so promote, support, invest in intervention for active and healthy aging. The role of our older adults in the community through participation in social, economics and cultural life to facilitate part of autonomy and physical and mental social well-being. We have some guests that were in depression because they had something like 7 children, 4 children, but no one cared about them. And we prevent the depression with our products. Stakeholder of Facciamoci Compagnia, Let's Stay Together, are the social service offices. They can use our service to help the older citizen with economic and social problems. Social cooperative La Fenice is where everything started. Sanità Senza Problemi, okay, which means healthcare no problems, is the ICT provider for Facciamoci Compagnia. It's always another our company we have, and general practitioners, they can monitor the equity of life of senior citizens in the area. They are, the first to understand if something is going wrong with their patient. Participants and the beneficiaries, as I said, we create jobs. We create jobs with this group apartments. There is a team to manage the group apartment. We have a coordinator. The coordinator must have a master's degree in sociology, psychology, or educational sciences. 2 are sunny health operators, material service support, and nurse on call, and a psychologist to support older adults in cohabitation. Psychologists in today's are well accepted in all of our residential structure. Results: the older guests, and after you will see in the video of the community, are better monitored. Both from health and the social viewpoint, thanks to a professional team that sets up an individual assistance plan on the basis of documentation certificated by the attending physician and based on social documentation concerning of subject through the social environment investigation method. It's important to understand that, for example, at night we found another guest fall down on the floor. It was followed down 2-3 minutes. The nurse listened to the noise, and he had his leg broke. He was helped, and now he feels fine. The thing is that if he was living alone, probably he could stay all the night, all the day after, just on the floor, and this could create a biggest problem with his life. Our regulation is the number 4 of 7 April of 2014 of Region Campania. Is well done, and it's concerning implementation procedures, condition of structural requirements, and everything in this regulation is described how the group's apartments work and stuff like that. The structural requirements, organizational and functional requirements, indication. Resources. Obviously, group apartments don't grow on the trees. You must invest money. To start the first group apartments, we spent 35,000 euros. To support, obviously, we have to rent an apartment. The support infrastructures used in a house with 4 rooms, 2 bedrooms, a kitchen, a large dining room. They must have space not to make their activities, and if it's possible, a garden. Older adults are required, if requested by family members, with GPS. We have an application because can happen that they lost direction, they lost way to come back home. Obviously, to live in a group apartments, you must feel fine. You must be able to care about yourself. So you cannot be more than 30% of disability for health. So the company uses a IT platform, the platform from Sanità Senza Problemi. The costs are supported by the family by the government. It depends of how much every guest earn for the month. Additional information: the youngest member of our community is 65 years old, Assunta. The oldest is Salvatore, 88 years old. Most of them decided to join community because they felt lonely. The cause of feeling lonely were different, but mostly because they live without their parents or family. Sometimes they live with their family, but they feel alone either, which means that loneliness is a problem. You must feel fine in your house with your family. They don't have any severe medical problems, don't need much assistance for living. For other information, these are facciamocicompagnia.it is our website, and Facebook Fenice Cooperative. Thanks for attention.
I may ask a question to Ezio. So which are the two key innovation technologies for the success of your project? Which were in your opinion, which were the two most important technologies that helped you in your project?
First one is obviously the web application that it does manage just 1 second. I will share the webcam. Okay, here we are. The first one is the web application. Obviously, this kind of business, this kind of project is a human project. So we have a human approach to the activities, but the difference is that creating this kind of web application, all the services are well give to our guests, because we have the app, and they can make a request with application. The health, their health story is well followed by our operators using it, and sometimes this makes the difference because they feel more comfortable to join their activities. This is the first one. When we created Facciamoci Compagnia, let's say together, we couldn't imagine how popular it could become, because we have something like 6-7 TV programs that asked us to meet our guests, to understand our format. In particular, we have a TV program called Le Iene. They made a service on our group apartment, and the day after we had something like 5,000 email from all Italy of people that would like to join our group apartments because they felt alone. And first, maybe the first technology is the technology of a heart, technology of feelings, and in a very technological society like our, make something of social so with the social innovation as we have done is really a technological is the first technological innovation. Someone called us from London, for example, and came here to understand our project. It was a social assistant of the city of London, and she came here to understand our project. So we are connected with the other organization. We create.
That's your own question. But did you have the need to teach the older adults how to use the apps, for example? Do you have also a digital literacy program in your activities?
At the beginning, of course, yes. But what is happening is in these days, our grandfather are pretty much better web application user than us. because in 10 years ago, we could imagine that the approach to the web services, to the computer and using could be a problem. But the 65 years old of today's were the 40 years old of the digital revolution, of the 90s. So we can imagine that in 10 years, every grandfather would be a good user of digital innovations. I think so. And we can see it with our practice.
Thank you so much, Ezio. So maybe we are ready to look at the video now. Federica,
yeah, you
please.
need to buffer a little bit, the buffering, yeah.
Federica, do we want to try again with the video? Thank you.
When love is deep, when love is good, it's what they say.
Ecco, la signora Rosa Federico è
When the moon hits your eye
mi
like
chiamo Rosa Libetti e sto qua da 2 anni e mi trovo molto bene sinceramente, siamo come una famiglia. Io ho perso la mia famiglia molti anni fa, avevo bisogno di compagnia, di parlare con qualcuno e non avevo nessuno. Poi mi sono decisa di venire qua in questa struttura e mi trovo molto bene. Sono tante amicizie qua giù, ci vogliamo bene, salutiamo a vicenda.
when the stars make it rule, just like a pasta fazola.
Giochiamo a carte, facciamo qualcosa, parliamo. Abbiamo fatto anche la corrida.
Nina, vi presento Nina! Ricciolo a posto.
Excuse me, but you see, back in old Napoli, that's amore. Grazie, amore.
Io mi chiamo Assunta, in casa mi chiamano la Nenna perché sono la più piccolina. Mi trovo benissimo qua, sono più di 2 anni che abito in questa casa, ho conosciuto tante persone che mi hanno fatto compagnia, mi hanno sollevato da una crisi depressiva che non riusciva a venirne fuori, invece qua sono riusciti a tirarmi fuori da questa crisi che mi stava uccidendo. Io voglio bene a tutti e mi auguro che tutti mi vogliano bene. Trascorro le mie giornate insieme con gli amici, una volta gioco a carte, una volta faccio l'uncinetto, un'altra volta faccio cucine, un'altra volta metto a chiacchierare con le amiche, gli amici. Qui non si soffre di solitudine perché una volta uno, una volta l'altro c'è sempre qualcosa da sentire, da ascoltare, da chiacchierare, da fare. E sono giornate molto belle che ci ascoltiamo. Non manca niente di niente in questa casa.
Mi chiamo Pasquale e sono qua da 3 anni e mi trovo molto bene perché comunque è una famiglia unita, compatta, stiamo bene. Io poi ho una grande passione, quella di giocare a tennis, queste sono le mie coppe e niente, la domenica siamo tutti qua come una grande famiglia, grazie a Dio adesso siamo tranquilli e in pace tutti quanti.
Sono Giovanna, sono un'operatrice della struttura, la solitudine qua non esiste, siamo tutta una famiglia allargata.
Praticamente questo è un progetto dove si va ad integrare il co-housing. Questa tipologia di appartamento, che è un appartamento condiviso, praticamente prevede un numero massimo di utenti di 7 posti. Quindi, essendo un numero ristretto, riusciamo meglio ad avere quell'armonia che si può avere in una famiglia e quindi ci aiuta ad andare d'accordo l'un con l'altro. Poi si instaura un rapporto veramente affettivo con ognuno di loro.
Abbiamo realizzato diverse infrastrutture sul territorio proprio per dare la possibilità agli anziani di vivere bene gli spazi e i luoghi pubblici. Abbiamo realizzato un parco pubblico dove insiste una struttura per anziani per dare la possibilità a loro di trascorrere il tempo insieme. Il progetto Facciamoci compagnia è un progetto importante perché potrete vedere questi anziani che magari non hanno la possibilità di mantenere anche appartamenti di proprietà, ma molto grandi, non vogliono stare da soli e vogliono stare in strutture più piccole dove possono trascorrere tempi di socialità insieme, contemplando sempre la propria indipendenza ed autonomia quando decidono di farlo. Quindi ritengo che sia un progetto importante, innovativo, fatto in un territorio che ha molta attenzione per i propri anziani e ha degli operatori del settore che hanno dimostrato di tutelare gli anziani.
Okay, so thank you to the team from Acerra for sharing their good practice. Actually, there is one last good question for Ezio, as we already started with the questions. This is one asking what happens to your residents when they have more severe medical problems, such as dementia or other problems that require a more intense care assistance.
Yes, we have a protocol made by the national law about the residential for the third age, and we are obligated to call an RSA, which is a social sanitary residence, to follow up our guests. We can't have people that have several problems with their health, because if they need, for example, they are unable to breathe by themselves or stuff like that, we must find a hospital or an RSA, and we must ask them to host our guest. And so sometimes happen, I repeat, it's a life course approach, life start and the life end. So we had some guests who death and started to have several problems, and after 2-3 months of permanence in the hospital in the RSA, they passed away. That's life. Yeah, I mean, it's a circle of life.
Thank you so much. So thank you. So now I would like to start introducing Luigi Riccio, who is the coordinator of Campania Regional Unit for Management of Health Infrastructures and all technological investments. He has a long-standing experience in the public health system and has been the one who made it possible to implement a number of investments for the technological to strengthen the technologies available in the health system and also to make the infrastructure smart. So Luigi, are you connected? Just a second, because I cannot see him online. Just 1 second.
Sì, ho visto. Ok. Mi sentite?
So Luigi, are you connected?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, I can. So
Okay.
I will ask you a few questions. From your point of view, Campania region just started the journey to exit the contingency plan. And this plan has been ongoing for the past for more than 10 years. So important investments now are being carried out to strengthen the regional health system, also with an integration between hospital and community services. In which direction the region is going in terms of infrastructures and technologies, in your view?
Okay. Well, good morning, everybody. Allora, Campania region has been struggling with the health expenditure imbalance since 2007, when the first contingency plan started, with even stricter rules since September 2009. Our region went through a long commissioning period ended in February 2020. The consequences of the long commissioning were mainly a plan to rationalize spending with horizontal cuts, the blocking of turnover for human resources, and the long absence of investment plans, with consequent general obsolescence of the regional health system affecting not only technologies but also human resources and organizational models. In fact, the last investment program agreement financed by states dates back to 2000 for 1.1 billion euro, which was subject to cuts for 600 million. This resulted in an aging of the health structures and the obsolescence of technological equipment, with passive mobility of patients towards other Italian regions and a negative balance of 300 million euro per year. In the last 2 years, the region has been working with the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Economy on important investment financing plans for over 1.2 billion euro. This represents a great opportunity for the region in terms of strengthening the regional health services. In fact, the construction of 5 new hospitals is planned, including one of excellence in Salerno, the completion of a number of other hospitals of Pozzuoli, Nola, Marcianise, the restructuring of others. Great importance is given to technologies with over 350 million resources allocated. Of note, the planning of the proton therapy center at the IRCCS Pascale that will join those existing in Trento and Pavia. Other important interventions concern the purchase of 6 million accelerators, half of which are newly implemented and or are upgrading at existing centers. The other half to replace obsolete technologies.
So, Luigi, this is a huge amount of investments that you are planning. Are there any challenges that you have been encountering so far when allocating the resources in your experience? What can you tell us about these challenges?
Okay, well, being able to make a timely implement the planned investment is a major challenge for the regional health system in Campania. In order to improve the public health offer and consequently the services for the citizens, there is a need to charge gear with respect to what has been characterizing the investment in the past 20-30 years, when the realization of what was planned required even decades. The region wants to do fast and wants to do well, favoring the influx of new loans with spending capacity in line with those of the most advanced region in Europe. This required to be able to simplify administrative procedure within current regulatory frameworks while ensuring transparency and social responsibility.
Luigi, can I ask you to move a bit the camera? We can see only your the top of your head. Yes, perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
So, is there any kind of infrastructure for new hospitals in the future? What are the keywords for new hospitals? in terms, hospitals will be important in the future because there will be an ever-increasing integration between all hospital services and community services we have seen in the COVID emergency. So what are the keywords for new hospitals in the future? Is there any experience you can share from Campania regional health system?
Well, the main objectives of the new investment are to renew the public healthcare offer, making it according to the most up-to-date standards, efficient, easily accessible by patients, both for its proximity to the connection routes and public transports, but also in terms of accessibility at integration of services. For this reason, the use of the innovative approaches and the digital technologies is a fundamental element that strengthens services and their equity. The creation of hospitals integrated with community services, able to provide timely and, above all, quality responses to users' need, can improve disease prevention, put citizens at the center of the services, and generate virtuous care paths that reduce health mobility towards other regions, which is a burden for Campania regional health system, society, and citizen. In relation to keywords, the new structures, but also the existing ones, adequately restructured will have green technological and energy features which will make them efficient and sustainable. In this sense, with the First Campania planning efficiency measures have already been financing 5 hospitals, which are currently in the executive planning phase. Among the investments recently made with these characteristics, there is the Ospedale del Mare, that has been fully operational since 3 years ago, that was partly financed also with European funds.
Thank you so much, Luigi. So we will have now, I think, a quick look inside the hospital. That is not one of the usual formal video. It's more an in-depth, quick walk, like we are virtually visiting the hospital. So if we can start the video. Thank you so much, Luigi. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, thank you. Thank you. So after this inside look and at the pace of our great composer, Domenico Scarlatti, we can hand over to our friend John Farrell to present next speaker, Gino Nicolais.
Thank you very much, Madalena. This is the final presentation on the session on the good practices within Campania. And I'd like to welcome Gino Nicola to give the next presentation. Gino is an Italian engineer, a politician and a lecturer. So he's got quite a diverse background and brings a broad spectrum of experience. He was the president of the National Research Council from 2012 to 2016, and the Minister for Reforms and Innovations in Public Administration from 2006 to 2008. He's the author of over 350 scientific publications and was a full professor of polymer technologies at the Faculty of Engineering at the Federico II University and the director of the Institute for Composite Materials Technology of the CNR. He was also a professor at the University of Washington and at the University of Connecticut. And Gino is going to give us a presentation on some of the highlights from the innovation ecosystem within the Campania region. Gino, over to you.
John, thank you so much for the presentation. What I'm going to just say a few words regarding the organization in this region of the ecosystem of innovation. Now we are, all of us, we are living this big transition from industry more traditional to industry as it's called 4.0. Can I, if I can have the slides? And you know, in this period, what we are really going to have is not only a technological transition, but is a social transition. If we look at if we look at the first industrial revolution starting from 17th century, we can say immediately that the first two revolutions were mainly based on energy, moving from the person energy to more mechanical energy. But the third and fourth revolution are new technology based mainly on the digital technologies. This is an important issue because, you know, also in the reorganization of the industry, everything is more concentrated on people. This is more than a technological revolution, is mainly a social revolution. And this is the reason why everything is changing, changing the model of business, are changing the way of working. There is a need that people and machine can start to speak each other. That is something that was not the same in the past. We have a new business model like the circular economy, the sharing economy, the maker economy, and also another important point that the customer becomes the center of the business, and is not only the activity that the person that are just taking a product. They are working with the producers in order to develop new products. The enabling technologies are very are just indicated in these slides and are very complex, but in meantime is not the technology is important, but is the way how to use the technology that becomes really important. That's the reason why we think that the university and industry should be much more close than they were in the past, because we need an area in which you develop new science, you just push the knowledge just to move ahead. In the meantime, you need to transfer this to industry in real time, because all changes are very, very fast. That's the reason why in Campania region, we have decided to develop an innovative community, mainly using the opportunity of the presence of big companies in Campania region that are linked together in this digital innovation hub, and they will just open their labs to the small and medium-sized enterprises in order to try to just develop this new technology and put them in the condition of using these new technologies. That sometimes is very difficult, not because the technologies are difficult to use, but mainly because people don't want to change. They don't want to change what they are. They know how to do as they did in the past. But surely this is an important issue. Together with the Digital Innovation Hub in the Campania region, now we have a competence center where the University of Campania are all together just helping the Digital Innovation Hub in order to improve the development of these small and medium-sized companies. And that is what we are trying to do, and we are working very, very, very hard in this. Unfortunately, you know, very often in our countries, we still speak about digitalization as something that's very important, but digitalization is the third industrial revolution. We need to have everything already digitalized to just go in this fourth revolution and change the way of thinking and try to work together, large companies, small companies, universities, in order to really make everything much faster. In the general area of health, this is still more important. And surely we need to leave this transition, not just with fear, but mainly with enthusiasm, because that's the way how we can really make use of innovation. Thank you so much for the time that you've given to me, but I'm ready for some question if necessary. And I really thank Maddalena for the invitation and all of you for just listening me during this short time.
Thank you so much, Gino. It is always a pleasure listening to you. So what room do you see in this fourth revolution for public health, if any?
It's big room, you know. We could really take them, see if we can say some advantages of this period in which we were just facing this COVID-19, because surely we have seen that we have still in Italy some problem. You know, we don't have a complete net of wide distribution of internet. That's a problem. And also, I think that should be really working a lot.
¿Cómo se le esta vuelta?
you. There is someone that has the microphone open. Can you close, please?
Yeah. Okay, so that's the reason I personally feel that also in the hospital we have to change the way how we do work. Many hospitals in North America are just working, putting at the center the patients, the person who has problems, and all around the different specialties of the medical doctors, because is not anymore the time where you can have one doctor for everything. And now you need many different expertise in order to really understand the problem of a person that has some disease. I think this is an important change of mentality also, as it is in other industrial system. But other important thing that we should be able to have interoperability among hospitals, among regions. We need interoperabilities because we need to exchange data. The data are very important because if you want to analyze any kind of disease, any kind of problem, we need to analyze big data. So big data means data from all over the different hospitals in order to take some advantage of the knowledge that we have achieved. And these to just work on big data, which is really one important issue, but we need to collect the data. To collect the data means interoperability. That's something that also, especially in Italy, but also in other countries, we should be able to work much more and to try to use the same systems in order to get an access to the data, not through just by attachments, but directly to the original data.
Thank you so much. You touched the many important points, and we will have the pleasure to invite you again to the next workshop for USHAFE, because there are more domains that will look more in depth into these topics that you just raised. So thank you so much, Gino. And I think we can close this session, although I still see one more question for Ezio. So there is another, if I can go, so thank you, Gino, and I go back to the previous speaker because there is another question on the chat for Ezio. How do you select the people to live together in the groups, and how do the residents pay for living there, and how much they pay? Turn on your microphone, please. Maybe Federica has to unmute you. Federica, can you check the microphone, please, from Ezio to answer the question?
Ezio, your microphone is on. Can you hear us? Ezio?
Maybe we can skip this answer to the final discussion, so we can move to the next presentation. John, please. In the meantime, they resolve the communication problem. We can introduce next speaker. Please,
Maddalena,
John.
We have a video to show.
I know. Just so let's quickly present the video. I think it's only 1 minute, and then we go to the next session. We are behind schedule. Thank you. So this was an example of industrial, built environment that was converted from a traditional factory to a knowledge hub. This is the site of Digital Innovation Hub. John, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Madalena. We move on to the final session now, where we're going to look at the synergies and the exchanges of experiences from a couple of projects. And first up, we have Gilda DeMarco from NCL, Dirección e Innovazione e Governo ICT, who's going to talk about the hashtag project and the metrics for the assessment of good practices targeting active and healthy aging. Gilda, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Please confirm that you can see my screen. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for the invitation to give us this opportunity to share with the audience, our experience in hashtag. Just to introduce me, I work for NCL, and NCL is the ICT company owned by Friuli Venezia Giulia region. So now in the project hashtag, I represent our region, and in particular the Central Healthcare Directorate of Friuli Venezia Giulia. Hashtag is a project funded within Interreg Alpha Space program. It started in April 2018 and will finish next year. The lead partner is the region Friuli Venezia Giulia, and within the consortium, there are different policy makers and stakeholders with different skills that help hashtag to reach its scope, which is the scope of hashtag. The scope is to improve the innovation of the public authority policies dedicated to face the aging population, in particular in the alpine space area. So the first step is to better coordinate the effort that are in a different sector, and to improve the communication and the synergy at different levels within the governance. So it is necessary to set up a systematic transnational cooperation in order to put around the same table, at least periodically, stakeholders belonging to different sectors, stakeholders belong to different level of governance, because the cooperation of public and private sector is crucial to better reach and to better face the active aging. And as a third step, for sure, is crucial to have opportunity like today to share best practice in order to have the opportunity to capitalize some results and to be flexible to adapt to specific local needs, such as open space area. To this scope, the hashtag project has three working lines. The first one is networking. It's crucial to meet and to share best practice initiatives, ideas, in order to create synergies that are focusing on the same challenge, in this case, the aging population. To boost the cross-sector and international cooperation in order to promote the transfer of best practice and knowledge, and to open a window on what happened outside the Alpine space area. And for that, in hashtag, we take into account initiative already existing, belonging to World Health Organization or to Europe, such as HIP-HAHA. To this scope, I invite all of you to visit the hashtag website, a page where you can find more details on our Transnational Governance Board, and all of you are invited to join us. The second working line is how to evaluate, to measure the policy on active aging and the metric and the initiative that the government apply in their territory. As a first step, hashtag reviewed existing frameworks that you can see in the first column that measure the status quo on or the progress of active healthy aging. In order to learn how indicators were developed and used, understand how several indicators were integrated into composite measures, take into account all existing indicators in the framework, and try to find a potential higher level dimensions of active health aging to group and categorize indicators. As a second step, we applied the OECD DAC evaluation criteria and identified some indicators properties in order to help the user of the framework to identify from the long list of indicators compiled in the previous step those that could be useful for assessing active healthy aging innovation in their respective contexts. So the idea is to take in consideration as much possible existing and previous study and to implement in the hashtag framework, but on the other side also to facilitate the use of the framework. As a final step within the framework is the development of an active healthy aging governance assessment methodology. As you can see, this framework rests on the principles of multi-criteria decision analysis and allows the assessment of innovation with multiple cross-sector outcomes. This methodology is like a funnel through which innovations process until only those remain which may be beneficial and affordable in a respective target settings, allows flexibility for adaptation to various local settings, and enable efficient cross-sector negotiation and decision-making within multi-level active healthy aging governance. Of course, this framework now is in a draft version. Hashtag consortium is testing this framework, and for sure it will be available and published on the hashtag website when it will be in a final version. And I hope that could help also other entity stakeholders to try and self-assessment of different best practice and help us also to understand how useful could be this kind of framework. This is the whole picture of the framework of hashtag that you can find in our website, and of course with a manual and some instruction on how to use it. The third working line is the mapping of the Alpine space. In parallel, hashtag is working on to define a work framework, but also to analyze and mapping what's happened on active aging within the Alpine space. So we started the last year with some survey, and based on the data collected, we revised the survey in order to be more close to the real context. Now, unfortunately, the data collection is almost delayed due to the COVID emergency, but it is planned to finish to analyze all data collected by the end of the year using the available framework, with the scope to release and good practice portfolio and an innovation observatory also available. It will be available on our website and in order to be accessible to everybody. Some picture on the current data that we collected. For example, we divided the stakeholder using the 4 helix paradigm. So we have governance, civil society, academia, and industry. In this slide, you can see that on our survey, the trigger of the new process of an innovation is the industry, and the decision making and the operational process see as main actor the governance. So in this case, we can see who is the main actors player in this kind of fields. Here are represented the main sector within hashtag is investigating. How we can read this graphic. If some policies or initiative as a main sector, the culture and tourism, we can see that there are secondary sectors that are impacted by the initiative, such as the well-being. And as you can see, the healthcare sector, independent living are the main sector. Of course, there are a few initiatives and policies concerning the tourism and mobility strongly related to the active aging, but for sure this could be the future challenge of our economy. And this graphic, you can see the type of innovation that we carry out through the surveys. Of course, the innovation in services is the main spread in the Alpine space territory. Also why Alpine space is characterized by rural area where the social innovation is the main factor that can trigger an active healthy aging. That's all from my side. Thank you again. I'm available if there are some questions for me.
Maybe we can save the discussion at the end. Okay.
Okay. I will switch on mute.
Thank you. So I will introduce Ozan Beyan, who is an IT expert with a long time experience in the health service, and he has been coordinating a very among others, a very successful European project is a PCP focusing on integrated approach for diabetes, and he works for the Turkey Ministry of Health. So Ozan, floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Maddalena. Just give me 1 second, please. Okay, you see me and you see my presentation, right?
Yes, sure.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Maddalena. Thank you, everybody. Good morning, all, and good afternoon. Thank you very much, Maddalena, for introducing me. And a big thank you to all of the organizers for inviting me to this wonderful webinar and giving me a chance to present you our project, ProEmpower, in which Federico II University is also a project partner. This has been a wonderful webinar for me so far. I'm learning a lot, and I'm very much hoping that you will find the presentation on ProEmpower interesting. ProEmpower is a PCP project that we are coordinating under Horizon 2020 program. PCP stands for pre-commercial procurement, as you may already know. So it's an innovation procurement project. Innovative ICT for patient empowerment and self-management for patients with type 2 diabetes. This is the title of the project, and as it reads, it's all about self-management of a disease and eventually about patient empowerment and user-centered approach. The reason why we chose diabetes as the center of this project is the fact that the procurers' healthcare systems are facing an increasing prevalence of diabetes, which puts a rather heavy burden on the healthcare and repayment systems. Yeah, once again, this is a project funded by the European Commission under Horizon 2020 program. We started the project in the fall of 2016, and we will be finishing the project in the fall of this year, at the end of September, to be exact. Ministry of Health of Turkey, Campania region from Italy, Portugal Health Services, and Murcia region from Spain have gathered together to jointly procure an innovative diabetes management solution. And the procurement tool we are using is pre-commercial procurement, which is also known as PCP shortly. Besides these 4 Mediterranean countries, we have some technical project partners from Germany and Bulgaria. The unmet needs we are aiming to address in ProEmpower are various, and they all stem from several factors, such as healthcare system, such as healthcare systems worldwide are reactive and fragmented. Also, patient ownership is lacking in most, if not all, treatment protocols, and current treatment of diabetes patients has proven to be not effective enough. It has proven to be ineffective. We therefore defined some building blocks for the project, the building blocks that the suppliers of the project are supposed to develop and deliver in one single package. Personalized diabetes management in ProEmpower is centered in the integrated care approach of these building blocks, and they are all indispensable parts of the ProEmpower system architecture and solution design. The procurement method, the PCP tool, the pre-commercial procurement method, is a competitive and selective course of procurement. That is to say, it is different than a traditional method of public procurement. In PCP, you select suppliers, several suppliers, to start developing solutions for you, and you fund them, you give them funding. From the beginning, you, in a way, purchase the whole R&D process. The procurement is executed with different phases. The first phase being the solution design, the second phase being the prototype development, and the final phase, the third phase, is the pilot trial, the demonstration of the developed systems in real-life conditions. And this is where we are at in the project currently. You're supposed to execute this phase with at least 2 different solutions from 2 suppliers. Now we are doing pilot trials in 4 procurer locations of the project: in Turkey, in Campania, in Portugal, and in Murcia region of Spain. 50 patients use one solution in each of the pilot sites. And since we have 2 solutions, we have a total of 400 patients in the pilots of the project. Yeah, so far I have only spoken in general and abstract terms. Thank you for bearing with me, but I would also like to show you what we produced in the project, what we actually did and came up with in the project. So I prepared some selected screenshots of our solutions since the time is limited. We have 2 different solutions from 2 different suppliers. One of them is an application called DiaWatch. It's developed by Tech4Care, an Italian company. DiaWatch is an easy-to-use mobile application that can be installed in any smartphone. It has 8 main functionalities used by a diabetes patient. It's no surprise that glycemia is one of them, as the target disease of this application is diabetes. It allows to monitor and manage therapy, meals, physical activity, lab test results, different measurements of the patient, such as body weight, blood pressure, etc. It has a training center that can be used by the patient when he or she would like to refer to references for daily and practical knowledge about living with diabetes. And it does have an interface that connects the patient with their doctor. This is a real doctor, not a bot. The patient's doctor is also able to monitor his or her management plan, therapy progression, etc., of course with the open consent of the patient. I'd like to give you an example from the meals target, as this is widely used by our patients. Nutrition is one of the key elements in diabetes management, as you may know. DiaWatch allows users to keep record of their nutrition values. The patients in DiaWatch has a My Targets screen, which shows the targets of a patient that are determined by the physician. The colored visualization of targets helps users to conveniently recognize their targets. My Therapy screen shows the prescribed medication of a user. It also works as a drug reminder. Therapy tile, it shows the medication to be taken in a day. The system is available in 5 languages, being English, Italian, Portuguese, Spanish, and Turkish, as required by the ProEmpower project consortium. And the other solution we are testing in the pilot trials is DM for All, Diabetes Management for All. It's developed by Gnomon, a Greek company. It's also a self-management solution for type 2 diabetes, and it has several features like patient self-management of measurements, appointments with doctors, communities, remote monitoring, connection of medical IoT devices, education and training material about diabetes, etc. Like DiaWatch, DM for All also has patient and healthcare professional interfaces. DM for All supports the measurement and recording of a number of parameters, both automatically via 4G or semi-automatically. Therefore, patients can easily self-manage their own conditions. It presents a personalized shared care plan for each of the patients who are registered in the system. The patients are able to have access to customized training materials for them, and they're able to manage their consent mechanisms regarding who will access and monitor their health information. DM for All, like the other application DiaWatch, makes it possible to create and manage nutrition plans, which is a key element in diabetes treatment. And I think this is the end of my presentation. However, there is a video I would like to show you. It's a 5-minute video about the pilot studies of ProEmpower. It's in Turkish, but it has English subtitles. It focuses both on the solution itself and also how these systems are integrated with the information systems of the healthcare facilities used by the healthcare professionals. It's also a demonstration of interoperability of the systems. Now, I give the floor and kindly ask the organizers to start the video, and I will be here until the end of the webinar in case you have any questions. Thank you. Many thanks for listening.
Thank you, Ozan.
Thank you.
Biliyoruz ki diyabet günümüzün en önemli hastalıklarından biri. Diyabet kronik bir hastalık. Yani siz diyabet tanısı koyduktan sonra bir gün tedavide başarılı olamıyorsunuz. Ömür boyu takip gerektiriyor. Bu proje kapsamında biz hastalarımızı çok daha yakından ve hastaların kendi kendilerini de görebilmelerine imkan vererek takip etme şansı buluyoruz. Bu bize neyi sağlıyor? Birincisi hastanın hekimine çok kolay ulaşmasını sağlıyor. İkincisi verilerini kolaylıkla hekimine iletebilmesini sağlıyor.
Geçen hafta Almanya'da artık mobil sağlık uygulamaları özellikle obezite konusunda doktorlar tarafından reçete edilebileceği kanunlaştı. Mobil sağlık teknolojileri artık baktığınızda teşhis ve tedavi süreçlerinin ayrılmaz bir parçası haline geliyor. Avrupa Birliği Komisyonu Horizon 2020 desteği kapsamında projemizi yazarak başarılı projeler arasından geçip şu an 4 farklı ülkede, İspanya'da, İtalya'da, Portekiz'de ve şu an İstanbul Ümraniye Eğitim Araştırma Hastanesi'nde pilot uygulamalarına başladık. 2020'nin Şubat ayında pilot çalışmaların hepsi bitmiş olacak. Diyabet alanındaki en büyük projeye ev sahipliği yapıyor Türkiye Cumhuriyeti Sağlık Bakanlığı.
Hastanın randevu almada yaşadığı zorlukları aşmasını sağlıyor ve hasta kendi verilerini kendi izleyebildiği için de diyabet takibi açısından oldukça motive oluyor. Hastaların çoğunu doğru aralıklara çekebilme fırsatını bulduk. 3 aylık gözlemlerimiz bu yönde. Ağustos'tan beri izliyoruz bu hastalarımızı. 50 hastamız daha önümüzdeki hafta yine projeye dahil edilecekler. Toplamda 100 hastayı izlemiş olacağız. Toplamda hastaları 8 ay izlemiş olacağız ve sonuçlarını da ilan edeceğiz tabii ki.
Şu an her ülkede 50 hastayla gidiyoruz. İkinci periyot dediğimiz projemiz pilotunun ikinci fazında 50'şer hastayı daha takip edeceğiz. Aslında mobil sağlık teknolojilerini kullanmak çok kolay. Bir cep telefonunuz var ve bir de cihazlarımız var. Ateş ölçerden, şeker ölçme cihazına kadar, termometreden işte basküle kadar hepsi cep telefonunuza Bluetooth wireless teknolojisiyle entegre oluyor. Tek tuşa bastıktan sonra verilerinizi doktorun ekranına yolluyorsunuz. Bundan sonraki projemiz hipertansiyon. Hipertansiyonda da gene Sağlık Bakanlığı Avrupa Birliği tarafından projesi başarılı bulunarak yaklaşık 6 milyon euroluk bir destek aldı. Burada da gene 5 tane ülkeye liderlik yapacağız.
Okuma yazma bilen herkes bunu rahatlıkla kullanır. Hatta bilmeyen dahi evdekilerden yardım alarak kullanabiliyor bunu. Sabah kalkıyorum, ilk etapta şekerimi ölçüyorum. Telefonu açıyorum, uygulamayı. Sonra şeker, malum parmağımızı delelim. Bluetooth'tan ölçümümüz alındı. Bu da direkt doktorun bilgisayarına yansıyacak. Şu anda tansiyon ölçümümüz çıkacak. Verisini de yükleyeceğiz. Tansiyon ölçümü de burada. Şu anda yüksek olduğu için kırmızı yanıyor. Normal olduğu zaman da yeşil yanıyor. Demirlere bir gelecek şekilde ayak, topuk, kilo, yağı hepsini gösteriyor. Ölçüm bulundu. Normal yürüyüşümü bu şöyle göstereyim. Alıyor. Şu anda 1288 adımda. Telefonu açtığım anda otomatikman hiçbir yere basmadan bir telefon kaydediyor. Mesela peynir diyelim. Hangi peynir yediyseniz yarım yağlı, yarım yağlı. Kaç gram yediyseniz. Yediğiniz her şeyin kalorisi burada belli. Ne yiyorsak. Ben felçlendiğime bakıyordum. 10,5 sene baktım. Ben anca ondan fırsat bulduğu zaman veya yanına birini bırakabildiğim zaman kontrollerime gidebiliyordum. Harici yani yeri geliyordu senede bir gidebiliyordum. Ve bu sistem çıkalı benim çok avantajıma geldi. Keşke bu sistem o zaman olsaydı. Önceden ayda bir ölçmüyordum bile. Şimdi her gün düzenli olarak şekerimi ölçüyorum. En azından tansiyonumu, kilomu direkt bunlar otomatikman doktorun bilgisayarına geçiş yapıyor, daha iyi oluyor.
Hasta evde ölçümlerini yaptıktan sonra ölçümleri bizim ekranımıza yansıyor ve biz buradan takip edebiliyoruz. Mesela ekranda gördüğünüz gibi bu hastamızı biz Ağustos'tan beri takip ediyoruz. Son ölçümüne 18 Kasım'da girmiş olarak görünüyor. Bu proje kapsamında sadece hastanın şekerini değil, tansiyonunu, kilosunu, attığı adımları ve diyetini de beraberinde takip ediyoruz. Bu da tabii ki başvuruları, hastane başvurularını, hastane kuyruklarını da azaltabilecek bir uygulama gibi duruyor sonuç itibariyle.
So thank you, Ozan, for your presentation and for the overview, especially in depth in the impact that the integrated support for diabetes with digital solution can have on the management of self-management of the disease. Actually, it was pretty clear from what the lady that was interviewed explained that the aging of the population also impacts the health of caregivers. And in this case, the availability of digital solutions could help to anticipate diagnosis and the achievement of a therapeutic target for diabetes impacting health outcomes. So if we start the questions backwards from your presentation, my question to you is, if you think of how the application of this integrated care has been framed so far, it probably has not been thought for co-housing, but there is a big potential for this kind of applications to be used in co-housing settings, because you have there a group of young people that can support older adults to use this kind of digital solutions. What are your thoughts of this? Do you think that a co-housing setting could work as a multiplier, as a way to speed up the adoption of these solutions by older adults?
Yes, Madeleine, a very good question and very good point, actually. I couldn't agree with you more. I think co-housing is a perfect location setting for any remote monitoring program. You have a lot of people there. Most of them, if not all of them, are elderly population, and we don't want to bring them to the hospital on a regular basis because we don't want to mobilize them in order to decrease the risks. And ICT steps in here as a very good, convenient, facilitating factor, like in our project. And what we have been paying attention since the beginning of the project, when we are developing the systems, is that the solutions are modular, like you don't have to use all of the functionalities. For example, you don't have to use like in-house in the care homes, like in your case, many of the people may have the same nutrition routines. They may be eating the same meal every day, which makes it easier to monitor their nutrition habits. So you will not have to ask them to enter their nutrition values. Things like that. This is just one example that appeared on the top of my head, but I'm sure there are many modularities we can take off of the systems, or we can add into the systems. Good thing is these systems are modular. They can be tailored according to the needs. And yeah, I think they're perfect applications for your housing environments.
Thank you. So we may keep in touch later on for this.
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot, Ozan.
Thank you. Thank you.
So if I may go back, if I may go back to the first presentations, I would like to ask Mr. Capanaga if he's still connected, if or anyone from the Biscaya team, if you think that USHAFE may also find an exploitation route to help the management of the public health emergency, such as the COVID-19. Is there any route that you see in the future for the project in this sense?
I think that Deusto could participate in the answer because Mr. Campana has left just for a while the room. So if Deusto can answer, it will be perfect.
Okay, thank you. So Deusto, if Deusto wants to go to answer, do I have to repeat or? Okay, so maybe we can just ask, the question was about exploitation of the results of the project for public health emergencies. Probably the solutions that will be collected in terms of good practices may also be provide some feed for thoughts to impact public health emergencies such as the COVID. And then I have a question for Amaya Zorilla. You have been looking at the good practices and describing them very nicely in your presentation. Do you have the feeling that there might be some clustering of the good practices according to their impact on health, in terms of impact, for example, on health? Did you see there were similarities between some of the good practices that you have been looking at so far? I don't know if Maya Doria is connected. Okay, so maybe we can just move on to the last questions for Ezio. There have been a couple of more questions for you. Are you connected? Ezio, are you connected? Yes. Okay, so there is one question asking how do you select the people living together in the groups? Do you have any conflicts between residents? How do the residents pay and how much they pay? And if you have any plans for scaling up? We cannot hear you, so maybe Federica has to. Yes, now. Yes.
Yeah, now you can hear me. Okay. For the first question, I answered that we obviously we make them do a trial of our group apartment, so they can try what does mean to live in a group, in a co-house. And normally we usually need a week to understand if the guest is available to be with in the group. Happens that people are not compatible, let's say, are not good for that group, so they have to go away. It happens. The second question?
About how much they pay, and is there how do they pay?
Yeah, normally the monthly rate is 1,400 euros. That's how much they pay for everything, which means that they have food, they all the medical services, clothes if they need clothes, vacation, all the services, and median rate is 1,400 euros per month.
And do they all pay out of pocket, or is there any possibility for a contribution from the municipality or the region?
Yes, there is possibility, and the social service office pay an additional rate after the pension, monthly pension. So if they have from the state 500 euros per month, rest of the rate is integrated, is paid by the social service office of the town.
Okay, is there any plan to scale up? I think you are already, because you mentioned Caserta, so...
Yeah. We're growing, and slowly, but because the first problem is to find apartments, to find where to start a new co-house. When we ask to the house owners to rent their properties, they start to be, how can I say, afraid about what could happen having some grandfathers, grandmothers living in their own properties. So we have to fight against their doubts, and this is our first problem: find the properties. It's hard to think about. It's hard to understand, because we have thousand of home empty and not used in this period, but they prefer to have their properties empty than give them to us to make this kind of a project. This is our first problem, not to find guests, because we really have, every day we have 1,000 requests, but the real problem is to find properties. Now we are starting to organize to buy apartments to create co-housing, like a real estate company.
Thank you. So good luck with your ambitions. And I leave the final. So I think we will have more collaboration to develop. So So I leave the floor to John Farrell for final conclusions and considerations. Thank you, John.
Thank you to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Madalena. And can I firstly thank all the presenters for the enlightening presentations that they had given, and sharing their work and their thoughts as we move through the EU SHAFE as well. I would also like to thank everybody for attending, and those that asked questions, and hopefully we managed to get answers to all the questions asked. There may be one or two that we haven't, but we will follow up directly with the presenters on those and get back to you as well. And I think I would also like to thank the colleagues from the ECH Alliance for facilitating this session this morning. I think it was very good, and the technology had worked well for us today. When we look at the presentations and trying to capture everything together, there are 4 key messages that I have taken out from all of the presentations. And I think the first one is that whenever we actually are starting to address change, particularly in the health and well-being field, there is that importance of bringing together the cross-sectoral integrated approach, bringing together the policymakers, those that are responsible for delivering and providing the services, and bringing them together with the entrepreneurs, the SMEs, the researchers, and the citizens themselves, so as to improve the overall health and well-being. But in doing so, we have to recognize that health and well-being isn't just within that one sector. It crosses everything. It crosses into the environment, it crosses into the wider societal challenges that we need to address as well. It moves us into the area of housing, transportation, the built environment where people live, and all of that. And it's important that we just don't see health and well-being in the context of just being about health. Everything has a contribution to play in it, and health should be seen within that wider range. The second key message that I got from the presentations this morning is that once we bring all of the key players together and all of the sectors together to take this holistic approach, we must ensure that whatever initiatives, whatever programs, whatever projects we do actually align with the regional strategies, because it's important that we can actually show that these deliver and that these deliver for the benefit of all the citizens within the region. Thirdly is the whole importance of promoting and stimulating innovation. And it's not just the normal type of innovation that we should think about, but it's also the social innovation that goes on within that as well, particularly the work that Ezio and colleagues are doing on that co-housing. But also, when we're looking at this whole area, we need to understand the role of digital technology and how it can support it. And importantly, the value of data in developing the solutions that we need to have, and to have those solutions built around the needs of the individual or the citizen. And finally, whenever we are looking at investing in health and well-being, it should not be about the financial profit that can be generated from an investment in health and well-being. It is more about improving the outcomes for patients and citizens. And whenever we look at the value chain, to me, that is what the value chain should be focusing on. Not about profit, but about improving the outcomes for citizens and for patients alike. There will be those attending today that maybe are from some of the EIP AHA reference sites. And it's just a personal message from the RSCN. You know, we're interested in all the good practices that you have. Maybe some of the presentations today have stimulated the thinking of things that are going on within your own regions. And you would like the opportunity to maybe start to share those with other regions and to build that whole network of sharing experience, of learning from each other and collaborating with each other. Feel free to contact the RSCN, any of the reference sites that are attending this morning. That's all from me. I would like to thank everybody for everything that you've done. And I will now pass back to Madalena for her final words.
So please, everyone, if you turn on your camera, Natalia, and I would like to thank Natalia Allegretti from ESH Alliance and Federica Porcu for supporting us, and they will support us until the end, taking this final last picture. So if you turn on your camera, all of you, please, we can take a nice picture. I take off the headset that looks pretty ugly.
Put it back on, Madalena.
Anzi, mi devo pure gli occhiali, ma ecco. Okay, so I think that with this last picture, I thank you everybody for joining this workshop, and you will hear back from us because we will draft a proceeding paper on the content that have been discussed. So we will ask you a last effort in revising what we will draft based on our notes, and we will see if we manage. There is an open issue of Journal of Translational Medicine focusing on WHO decade for active and healthy aging. We may try to publish there real quick. So thank you again and have a nice day. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Goodbye.